I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
I cannot be defeated, and I will not quit.
Welcome to Rhema Praise, a worldwide broadcast bringing hope, help, and healing for over 25 years from Kenneth Hagin Ministries and Rhema Bible Church in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And now, here are your hosts, Pastors Kenneth and Lynette Hagin.
Hello and welcome once again to Rhema Praise. We are so glad that you have tuned in today. Honey, today you are talking about how to avoid being offended.
Yeah.
You know, so many people in these days get offended at everything.
Yeah.
They're not tolerant of anything.
You need to be slow to get upset with people. You know, why get offended? I mean, holding an offense causes you more harm than it does the other person.
Yes.
In the first place. And I mean, so what somebody says something? I mean, people say stuff about me all the time. I care less. That's their problem, not mine.
That's right.
That's the way I look at it. You know, somebody said, well, you ever see what so-and-so said? I said, no, I don't know what they said and really don't care. But you see, that's why you have to get to the point that you can't let any of that affect you, because when you do, it keeps you from receiving the promises of God, because it puts you in a position, it's like stopping up a pipe that the water can't flow through.
Yes.
And too many people, they get offended, and then they quit church, and they do all sorts of, and that's exactly what the devil wants them to do.
It really is a trap.
It really is. You know, some people take offense if you just look at them wrong.
I know. Or you say something and you didn't mean to offend them.
No.
But it offends them. And you wonder, well, what on earth did you say? They won't talk to you. In fact, if they see you, they'll turn the other way.
Right.
That's not what God intends for us to do.
Let's go where I'm talking about how not to be offended. I don't know whether you've noticed or not, but if you get on the internet at all, Facebook or just internet in general, it seems like everybody is offended at anything anybody says. It seems our society today is too easily offended. You know, if you look at the news, if you don't believe like they do, well, they get offended. You know, I have a whole book back there on how to avoid the trap of offense and being offended. And I was just thinking, and so I went back in my notes and got some of the things that in that book. And you know, we don't need to get caught in Satan's trap of offense. Now, undoubtedly, situations is going to happen in your life that could cause you to get offended. But you know, you control that. Hello? You know, I want to encourage you to be slow to get upset with others, get offended. You know, Luke 17, 1 and 2 in the New King James says, then he said to his disciples, it's impossible that no offense should come. But woe to him through whom they do come. It is better for him if a millstone was hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea, then he should offend one of these little ones. Now, according to this verse, it's impossible that no offense is it says, no offense should come. It's impossible. The Good News Bible says situations that cause people to lose their faith are certain to arise. Young's literal translation says, it's impossible for the stumbling blocks not to come. Amplified version says, temptation, snares, traps set to entice are sure to come. Now, these verses clearly indicate that offense is going to come. That's what it says right here. Then he said to some, it is impossible that no offense should come. You know, this then tells us that situations, snares, traps, stumbling blocks will come. Many people get caught in Satan's trap of offense. Now let's look at that word offense used in here in Luke 17:1. It's the Greek word scandala, and it refers to the movable stick or trigger of a trap stick. In other words, the things that sets the trap off. Any person or thing which one is entrapped, drawn into error. That comes out of Thayer's Greek lexicon. Today, people need to realize that the enemy is doing everything he can to destroy Christianity. Offense is everywhere. But we've got to realize that God's made a way for us to be free from those traps of getting offended. Now, we must be ready to realize that offense will come. We will have the opportunity to get offended. You cannot live your life hoping that no offense will come, because the Word of God already told you it would. Am I not correct? Did you not I read it there to you. That was Jesus talking to his disciples. You know, some people try to spend their whole life avoiding anything that would make them upset or offended. But you know, see, God has made us a way to deal correctly with our offense. Now, how does offense usually come? Through maybe an insult, a verbal attack, the divisive rhetoric, broken relationship, betrayal, and on the list goes. Many times, offense comes from the words that somebody says. The tongue is an unruly member. Oh, you don't believe that? Well, let's go to James 3. James 3, start reading with the second verse in James chapter 3, New Living Translation I'm going to read from tonight. We all make many mistakes, but those who control their tongue can also control themselves in every other way. Verse 3 says, we can make a large horse turn and go wherever we want by a small bit in its mouth. A tiny rudder makes a huge ship turn wherever the pilot wants it to go, even though the winds are strong. So also the tongue is a small thing, but what enormous damage it can do. A tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. You know, the words that people speak have set off a lot of fires of offense. Have you ever seen the words that somebody said spread like wildfire among those who were offended? People that get offended will repeat the offense to others, hoping they'll pick it up. And in my book back there, I have a section I talk about that it is worse to take somebody else's offense than it is to just get offended yourself. But that's another subject, so I'm going to stay off of that tonight. Offense is inevitable, but being offended is your choice. How can you tell if you got caught in the trap? Well, if you're continually hurt and anger and jealous of someone, you're probably in the trap. If you're resentful, envious, and hateful towards someone continually, especially when their name is mentioned or they get blessed, you're in the trap. If you are backbiting, slandering, or continually speaking negative things about somebody or something, you're probably in the trap. If you're focused on the wrong that somebody did to you and don't care what happens to those who did you wrong, you're in the trap. If you are offended and are running with a group of offended people, you're in the trap. I have noticed that offended people usually don't run alone. They run in a gang, a group. People don't just get offended because somebody does something to them. They get offended when another person tells them about what so-and-so did to them. Hello? Here's how it works. Someone gets offended at what happened to somebody else. So let's go it this way. Person A did something to person B. Person C hears about it and starts speaking against person A, even though it had nothing to do with person C. It had nothing to do with them. You can tell when somebody has picked up somebody else's offense when you hear somebody saying, "Did you hear what so-and-so did to so-and-so? That was so wrong. I'm going to mark that person." Right there, you have picked up an offense that doesn't even belong to you. There's enough of them coming your way that belong to you that you're going to have to make a choice without picking up somebody else's. Hello? You know, you cannot hang around people that are offended and keep talking about it without slipping in to that groove your own self. It's sort of like, people don't know much about this nowadays, but used to, they didn't, when I was a kid, and when some of you that are here live out in the country, you went to the creek to go swimming. Hello, how many of you know what I'm talking about? See, these modern day kids don't know nothing about that. Yeah, we had a tree and had a rope, and you could swing out and drop in the creek there. But there was a saying: if you hang around the creek bank long enough, you're gonna slip in. And that was one of us guys is our favorite deal. Hey, nah, don't you go swimming, son. You don't go swimming. Okay, I'll just hang around and watch them. Well, I'm hanging around on the bank, and they're climbing in and out, and the water gets on that dirt, and pretty soon I get up, and it's slick, and I slide in. And, well, I'm wet now. I might as well swim. So my mother say, I said, well, Mom, I didn't intend to go in, but I slipped in, and I was already in. I might as well swim. Hello. You hang around people that are offended, and you'll start picking up that attitude. You'll start picking it up. You know, if you hang around people with an accent, if you're not careful, you'll start to pick up some of that accent. I'm serious. Because there's some people that are from the northern states, Minnesota and so forth. They've been down here at Rhema long enough that they've lost most of that accent, and they're talking like we do down here. How many of you know what I'm talking about? I spent 22 months in Taipei, Taiwan in the Army, and I found myself picking up some of their way they say certain things. Anybody else ever done that? Been around people like that and started to pick up? Yeah, I got some help in here. Now, if you're not careful, if you get offended, you will get stuck. What am I talking about? Have you ever met somebody and they told you what somebody did to them, and then you didn't see them for a period of time, and then you happened to run into them, and you wasn't with them 5 minutes till they started telling you that same story again? These people are stuck. They're stuck right there. They're not received, gone any further, received any blessings because they're stuck there. People don't realize that if you're not careful, if you get offended, it'll cause you to get stuck right where you're at. Now, I don't know whether this is true or not. I've heard this story before years and years ago when I was just starting out preaching, back when I was 18, 19 years old. But they tell a story, and I don't know whether it's true or not. I've heard it, and it's still around. That used to, when the hunters were trying to capture monkeys, they would drill a hole in a coconut that was attached to something, a tree or something, just large enough that the monkey could stick its hand in through with some type of silver object or something in there. And that monkey would stick its hand in as long as it was this way, good. But if it closed its hand around that, it couldn't pull its hand out, and it would not turn loose of that. And so therefore they'd come and then they'd catch the monkey. Actually, the monkey caught himself because he wouldn't let go. Many people are wondering why certain things are not happening in their life. It's because they got a hold of a fence and they won't let it go. You know, somebody say, well, did you hear what so-and-so did? I told a guy one time, I said, I'm not interested. What? You're not interested in what happened to so-and-so? No. I said, that's between them and God, and I'm not going to get involved. Hello? Neither one of the people he's talking about had come to me and asked me anything, and asked me any advice. Now he's wanting to dump all this mess on me because he's got upset at this other individual because of what they did. You know what? He's stuck too. You know, people, something happens, and it becomes such a part of them that it ruins them. I know a minister years and years ago. way back years ago, back in the 60s. Some of you weren't even alive then. A man had come in and had split his church and went across town and started another church. That minister was so offended about it, he almost killed his own church, because every time he got in the pulpit, he started talking about that. Sure, it was wrong and it shouldn't have happened, but hey, he let it go. The only person that was being hindered was him. The other people were going on down the road. Everything was fine. You see, you've got to realize that you can't, I don't care what happens, you can't have an attitude of mistreated and misjudgment and, you know, you justify this behavior. Some people have carried offense so long until they think that's normal. It's not. Y'all awful quiet out there. But we need to listen to this. I mean, I just look at it. I hardly ever even put anything on there at all. I just look. But I've seen too many, some people that I even know, charismatic Christians, supposed to be faith people, looking at what they're saying they're getting in arguments on Facebook. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody looked at that? Man, it's crazy. You know, sooner or later, somebody is going to come to you with their offense. But before you take a hold of their offense, you need to ask yourself some questions. Is this where I want to get stuck in life? And are these the people who I want to get stuck with? Do I want to get stuck at this level of blessings from God? We got to remember that holding offense will cause you more harm than it does the other person. You know, John Mason, in his book, Let Go of Whatever Makes You Stop, said, living a life of unforgiveness is like leaving the parking brake on when you drive your car. It causes it to slow down and lose momentum. I trust you enjoyed what I had to say, and I trust you'll take that information and use it for your benefit.
And you know, honey, they need more information about not being offended. Our offer this month includes your book, Avoiding the Trap of Being Offended.
Yes.
And I will say, I can testimonial that you have conquered that. You don't get offended at anything. And in fact, I remember one time, this is years and years ago, and this was when you were crusade director. Okay.
For Dad, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And
you're talking about 70s.
In the 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
And so your dad, you know, you never know when.
67 to 72 is when I was a crusade director.
No, it was 72 to 76.
Yeah, 72 to 74, 5. Yeah.
And so you never knew. Sometimes your dad would say, okay, son, you preach tonight, even though, you know, he was supposed to be scheduled to preach. Yeah. And I remember one time, and he said that, you know, you preach tonight. So we're down front after church, after our service, and I'm greeting people, and this one guy came up, And he said to you, well, he said, I was really upset and disappointed because I came here to hear your dad and you were preaching. I was so mad. I was like, oh, I cannot believe this. They would be so rude to even say it. And you just sloughed it off and, you know, it didn't bother you at all.
Wasn't my problem, it was his.
See, I still remember it.
I don't even remember it.
All right, well, that's enough of that.
That's how you don't get offended. You just don't do it. Don't let it bother.
Lord, I got to pass that test again. Okay, anyway, avoiding the trap of being offended. And then your dad's DVD, This Is the Day. And my CD, Using Stumbling Blocks as Stepping Stones.
That's for a gift of $30 or more, and it's well worth it. So go right now and go to rhema.org and order that right now.
That's right. Living Faith Conference coming up September the 10th through the 12th in Longview, Texas. Going back to where we originated from, Texas. That's at the Remnant Church, Pastors Rusty and Anna Brady. You can go to rhema.org and find out all the details.
Yes, and you know what? Talking about September, we're fixing to start our Rhema Bible College.
That's right. That's right.
And if you missed the fall enrollment, you can start enrolling right now for the spring, January intake, the 2024. Just go to rbt.org/and-apply, or you can get out all the information that you want about Rhema right there,
That's
Rhema
right.
Bible College.
And September is also really exciting for me because my women's conference, Kindle the Flame Women's Conference, begins September the 28th through the 30th. Registration is now open. You can go to rhema.org/KTF and register.
Well, let's get out of here.
All right.
Because the clock on the wall says it's time.
It's time, yes.
We want to thank you for helping us to bring hope, help, and healing to the world.
If you're going to be a success in life, the road is going to be rocky and bumpy. But instead of stumbling blocks, those are going to be stepping stones. And I'm going to step higher and higher and higher and higher.
Using Stumbling Blocks as Stepping Stones, a powerful CD by Lynette Hagin. And a book by Kenneth W. Hagin, Avoiding the Trap of Being Offended. Plus Kenneth E. Hagin's anointed message on DVD video from Camp Meeting 1998. This is the day. Get all 3 powerful faith tools today for a gift of only $30 or more when you call toll-free 1-888-PRAISE-8. Or you can log on anytime, day or night, at rhema.org to order. For Canadian orders, log on at rhemacanada.org. Do it today. Thank you for watching Rhema Praise with Kenneth and Lynette Hagin. Kenneth, Lynette, and Rhema Bible Training College are committed to reaching the entire world with the gospel of Jesus Christ and training laborers for the end-time harvest. If you have prayer requests or would like more information about Rhema, please call, write, or visit rhema.org. Thank you for being with us today and for your faithful support. And remember, there is hope, help, and healing for a hurting world.